Welcome
to
Fumbling
Futures.
Futures. Over the last 3 weeks, we master students of architecture from St. Francis Martins designed an online festival of ideas called Fumbling Futures. This gave us a way to share our ideas with wider audiences and our communities of practice. It was a great time to test alternative presentation ideas of sometimes complex projects and work collaboratively, which is challenging, as you can imagine.
Hello, we are Warm Earth Lab.
And we are Food Futures.
Tonight, we'll be presenting 2 short films to you back to back. Hinterlands by Warm Earth Lab, unearthing the characters of sites beyond view.
And Food Futures to a just transition. And through this short stop motion film, we will explore themes of justice, togetherness, and ecological living through our food system. Please post any of the questions or comments that you have for us into our live chat, just to the right of the video.
And sit back and enjoy your evening's entertainment. Woo!
Woo!
Warm Earth Lab, or W.E.L for short, tests and develops alternative on-site methods of warm data collection. W.E.L calls for an ethical reorganization of human, non-human relationships and the introduction of a deeply embedded civic custodianship. Warm data highlights non-productive qualities that cannot be codified or economically assessed through traditional metric land surveying. As a source, warm data should not replace metric data, but should be read in conjunction with it. W.E.L has been directly interacting with a shifting landscape on the southern bank of the River Thames, the Thamesmead Waterfront Master Plan.
The relationship between land and development has never been straightforward and continues to shift and change with demand and supply. The draft New London Plan anticipates a new wave of growth, with the capital's population expected to increase from 8.9 to 10.8 million by 2041. Whilst W.E.L acknowledges there is a real need for affordable housing in the city and fostering communities, we believe there must also be accountability for the destruction of diverse ecologies. W.E.L are concerned with how it may be possible to restructure hierarchies, decenter the human, and reprioritise urban ecosystems within the context of development.
Thamesmead Waterfront, in the Royal Borough of Greenwich, is a 100-hectare plot within the wider Thamesmead Master Plan, engulfing the current town centre, ancient marshland, contaminated waste landfills, and a number of locally listed structures. The earmarked site is ecologically, politically, and socially charged. The master plan is a joint venture between the housing association Peabody, the developers Lendlease, and the soon-to-be selected design team. As one of the few remaining undeveloped river sites in London, and with the scale and capacity of a new town, this landscape exists on the brink of change. We envisage that W.E.L's methodology of translating a landscape can become an integral tool to inform future land developments, such as this site we have encountered. This information can be used to provoke a practice of environmental sensitivity in the proposed master plan, and elevate sites as active agents in their own future.
Environmental personhood is an existing legal concept that grants certain environmental entities the status of a legal person. Currently, there are no set guidelines, but W.E.L proposes a set of criteria that could become a framework to obtain this status. Awarding basic rights to the non-human bodies of Thamesmead, such as existence, regeneration and restoration, would provide them with a right to seek legal redress for the damages and violations inflicted by humans. With this logic, environmental personhood becomes a question of responsibility, liability, and accountability for unsustainable behaviours.
The following film is an enactment of environmental personhood on behalf of Thamesmead's contaminated land through a guided encounter with the contaminant. Our didactic is based on the criteria for such personhood and presented in a step-by-step guide. Criteria 1. History of environmental violence.
Push your weight against the land and feel the land push back against your palm. Criteria 2. Ecological contribution. Investigate the ground. Familiarize yourself with the textures. Climb a tree to measure its height with your body. Regain the soil. Measure this distance around the tree trunk. Draw a line in the ground. Criteria 3. Symbiotic relationships. Return to the ground. Vibrate. Disconnect. Resist. Pulsate. Criteria 4. Non-extractive processes. Infiltrate the landscape. Maintain stillness for 30 years. deplete.
Criteria 5. Linguistics.
You bounce. Make an imprint on the land. Bounce. Heavier. 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 Approach. Comfort. Multiply. Seek. Approach. Comfort. Multiply. Seek. Your body merges with the earth.
Criteria 6. Declarations.
Awarding legal rights to non-human bodies subverts the status quo for armed development, both elevating their position to stakeholders and holding any polluting organizations to account for environmental damage. As a result, it becomes in their interest to operate in a responsible and sustainable way. As a product of this research W.E.L proposed an on-site research center in Thamesmead to accommodate alternative knowledge collection and exchange. This open and ongoing conversation will be held in parallel with the development of the master plan to inform both the delivery team and the wider human and non-human community.
Finally, W.E.L asks you to contemplate this. How might the fabric of the city change if the urban ecosystems were given the rights to exist? How could this incentivize a systematic shift in developments? And what impact can a broader network of custodianship have on the future of our cities?
Does food destroy or create, deplete or recover, imprison or liberate, damage or heal, divide or unite? The year is 2022. Grassroots and community-based actions across the country have pushed for climate justice. A new policy framework is introduced, a just transition to what we might have once called the Green New Deal. But this has now been redefined to defy what capital likes to do best: grow, accumulate, extract, racialise. More.
Disempowerment? Taxations? Reparations? How dare they?
It was certainly bad for the owners of capital. Sure, they put up a fight, but in the end, people power and interventions of citizens creating alternative systems prevailed.
A just transition builds economic and political power, creating a shift from an extractive economy to a regenerative one. In this regenerative economy, a total transformation of agriculture is needed.
At the time, we didn't quite know what a break from capital, a future based on regeneration and equity, looked like. What would a civic food production mean for the social life of the city?
How can existing and proposed infrastructure become food productive?
How can local food production prioritise racial and social justice?
A transition to a low-carbon economy is inevitable, and the way in which we get there and the impacts must be just, prioritising the most affected and unheard in society. All experiences, knowledge, networks are valued. Not a single person is the expert, but together, through informed discussion, the citizens deliberate and decide on the futures. Some come with a curiosity in agroecology and urban planning. Others talk from years of activism and work within the voluntary sector. All of the voices and experiences are important. The more people join, the more equitable food future we will have.
Power and wealth is distributed. Resources and labour valued and not exploited.
A just food transition is a principle, practice and process, and must include those most affected and marginalised in the decision-making process, enable cooperatively and community-owned institutions and businesses, address the questions of free labour and care work, create new jobs, good pay, unionised and safe, to deliver a degrowth economy, relocalise food production and consumption, put agroecology at the centre of our city planning.
How are we going to do this? Brexit?
Brexit?
Brexit? Democratic?
Democratic?
Isn't it just easier if they just tell us what to do?
Isn't it just easier if they tell us what to do?
Isn't it just easier if they tell us what to do?
Digging, digging, sowing,
Brexit.
raking, digging, backbreaking.
Digging, sowing, raking, digging,
Digging,
democratic? Digging,
Digging.
backbreaking, democratic.
digging. Oh, I mean, we just have to stay neutral, don't we?
I mean, we have to just say digging,
Democratic? Oh, it's going to be profitable.
digging, backbreaking.
What have we got ourselves into? Having acquired the plot from Lewisham Council with a group of activists with an aspiration to turn it into a community garden, our code of conduct reads as follows. Community plots are solely for growing produce and providing not-for-profit education and training opportunities about food growing. The group shall not use the plot nor permit the plot or the site to be used by others and/or any other party for any events or activities, signage or other promotional materials that are of a political, religious or social activist nature.
Food is political, and as it has a power to unite, it has far greater power to divide. Growing food teaches us of that power, and every seed sown collectively is an activist action.
We strive for system change, positioning ourselves between changing the rules of the system and shifting of the paradigms. Many alternative local economies are created.
Communal kitchens are an embedded part of the neighborhood. Cooking and eating together is our way of life. We build relationships and share cultures through the act of eating. There is no food waste, only organic waste. It is turned into green energy with the on-site biodigesters to feed those cookers.
Water is captured and harvested on a city scale, forming a new infrastructure to deal with increasing drought and water shortages.
A 4-day working week and universal basic income means that people live above the poverty line. More time and importance is available to give to the community. Climate refugees have been given legal status and protection to reside in the UK. The UK pay reparations owed for its part in colonialism and environmental destruction overseas.
We work methodically, nurturing and caring for human and non-human.
Organic biodynamic food is grown locally. New growing practices are introduced to deal with rising temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns.
Former carbon-intensive infrastructure is adapted to become food productive, using natural processes to repair and restore the land. Food productive landscapes are commonplace within the city, interconnected to its natural assets and its resources.
Brightly coloured cargo bikes are zooming up and down our streets. Today they deliver fresh fruit and veg from the local allotments and farms from and around London.
It's hard yet rewarding work. People are connected to the land. We plough and rake and mend and seed. Through working on our land, we appreciate the true value of food. Food which is grown together in a mindful way to each other and the nature around us. We change the ways we produce, transport, trade, share and value food. We build communities and networks within London and beyond.
The power of food is to create,
To recover,
To make us strong
to liberate.
to heal.
and unite us.
We celebrate these powers of food.
Well, we hope you enjoyed these two thought-provoking films.
We're now having a live Q&A on the link in the chat here.
So go grab yourself a drink and click the link.
See you in 5.